369 days later. If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have the key to the universe. Nikola Tesla. 3, 6, and 9 are the most powerful numbers in the universe. Your life can change in 369 days. After I closed my company, I decided to move to New Jersey. I did so because, 1, I was burned out, beat up, and wanted to experience something new. 2, I had previously invested in real estate with someone who was buying foreclosed houses in Newark. 3, the city of Newark was on the rise. I saw it as a great location to reestablish myself and rebuild my business. 4, they had a thriving environment to help minority and women entrepreneurs, and I owned an MBE business. So everything seemed like it was going well for the first few months. It was summertime. I was finally able to enjoy myself after 5 years of working almost every day. I wasn't bogged down by work, people, or responsibilities, and I was genuinely having fun for the first time in nearly 6 years at 29 years old. That good time came crashing down when I realized that my real estate investment wasn't being returned and that the fake real estate guru I lent money to ended up being a complete fraud. I went from being a young, well-to-do businessman to being 6 figures in debt and considering bankruptcy, all within 90-day time frame, from one bad business decision. I moved to Jersey in July, and by January, I lost everything. In November, however, I purchased an energy franchise, which was going to be my plan for how I was going to relaunch my company, but literally 30 days later, I lost everything. January to July 2022 were the hardest months of my entire life. I mean the hardest. The franchise was the only thing I had to keep hope alive, so I held on to it by the grit of my teeth, literally. It was a miracle, to be honest, because everything else around me came crashing down like a demolition building. I lost everything, literally everything, including my house, my truck, my assets, my savings, my fucking dignity. Because I had a franchise, I was able to utilize that to expedite the rebuilding of my business. Still took about 8 months, but without the franchise, the framework it provided, that process would have taken well over 2 years. And after the darkest period I've ever gone through in my life, I sit here writing this in complete appreciation, gratitude, and awe. Because today, 369 days later, I'm ready to launch my new company, New World Energy, and we will create dozens of new jobs in the next 24 months, and hundreds over the course of this decade. New World Energy will become the leading energy service business in the tri-state, and it will have been birthed from the ashes by the grace of God. It will rise like a phoenix and grow up to impact the world in such a way that honestly could not have been possible had it not been birthed from the ashes like it was. And lo and behold, that process took exactly 369 days. It was July 23rd, 2021 when I closed down my business. I wrote this article July 27th, 2022. 1 year and 4 days, which is 369 days. And so it is. So this actually gets a bit deeper. I wrote this article on July 26th. No way in the absolute fucking way of ways could I have known that this was going to happen. But 2 days later, on July 29, 2022, the largest clean energy bill was passed by the Senate. It's called the Inflation Reduction Act. If it passes, the bill would be to invest $369 billion in American energy security and fighting climate change, the single largest infusion of federal cash aimed at tackling the climate threat in U.S. history. Read that again. The single largest infusion of federal cash aimed at tackling. I'm showing you that because the profoundness of the fact that I just finished reading the article called 369 Days Later. And the reason that all of this even happened was this. As you can see, there was a big period, a big break between June 8th and July 26th when I wrote these 2 articles. I wasn't writing. I was kind of like in a little bit of a rut. And it was middle of summer. Anyways, on July 26th, I remembered that July 23rd, well, for these few days, I remembered that a year before that I had closed down my company, and I was like, holy shit, it's been a year, and holy shit, how life has changed. And I also was knee deep in writing in my new Project 369 journal. This could be found right here. Oh shit, I should have just went to the damn Amazon. So I was knee deep into writing into this journal. So I wanted to write an article that had to do with 369 because I was like, holy shit, like my life changed in 369 days. But the only way that I could write this article 369 days later was if I prerequisite it with the hardest business decision, because I had to kind of set the stage for what we were 369 days away from, which was me closing down my company. So having written that 369 are the most powerful numbers in the universe and that your life can change in 369 days. And then, look, I could not have, you can't fake this, right? And I could not have known before anyone else in the world when this climate bill was going to be coming. I didn't even know it was in talks. When it got announced, and that's when the world found out. But I put these 4 photos just to tell about how 369 has been. And if the recent Inflation Reduction Act was a lottery number, we would have just hit for $369 billion. Click here to see the $369 billion energy bill that passed 3 days after I wrote the previous article. So I wrote my last article 3 days before the Inflation Reduction Act was announced. Call it coincidence if you want. I call it divine communication. The numbers 369 are the trilogy referred to in all methodologies. The 2 that come together to create the 1, 3 plus 6 equals 9. The reason I wrote this article is that my intuition was screaming out at me to write about what happened in the past year and to title the article 369 Days Later. 369 became important to me ever since I started writing in the Project 369 journal. That journal is a magic book, a gateway to another realm. New World is destined to sell to the federal government and to excel in that market. Our entire business is set up to sell to the federal and state government. God really set this one up beautifully. Here's our capability statement. Thank you. Peace.